everyone. Welcome to StealthBay.com's very first podcast. I am your host, Harry Taheem. I am super excited to be hosting this podcast today. So for those that don't know, they're like, hey, what the heck is StealthBay? StealthBay.com is a cybersecurity blog I've started about 5 years ago. And, we post content on things like product reviews, news on security tools, existing or new tools that are coming out. We post articles on certifications and giving people preparation tips on, looking at different certifications and how they can get a head start into them. And then just sharing some general news and security news and our own opinions. So yeah, if you get a chance, check it out, stealthbay.com. So today we've got an awesome, cool guest speaker here today. We've got Angela Marafino, who is a program manager at Microsoft, joining us. Angela, welcome.
Hi, Harry. Thanks.
I kind of wish I could have sent you like some kind of like virtual scissors. I'm gonna get like a virtual ribbon, and I actually could go for some cake right now, actually, just to celebrate.
There's still time. Plenty hours left.
I actually came across Angela last year. So the pandemic hit all of us. COVID hit all of us. It changed things in drastic ways for some of us. And the big one for me was security conferences were canceled. Suddenly, you can now take part in conferences all around the world. So there was a conference, correct me if I'm wrong, Angela, I think it was GrimCon. You had a themed version, a Harry Potter themed version there of your presentation. It was an odd take at first because I'm like, oh, just Harry Potter. Someone else had StarCraft, I think. And at first I was like, I don't know, is this going to work out? But in hindsight now, when I think back, I only remember those ones. Like they were memorable. And I can't remember the other ones as much now. So that kind of leads me to my first question now. Are you a Harry Potter fan?
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Yeah. And it's like, I'll probably date myself. We don't have to talk about my age, but like I grew up listening to the first one on audiobook, like in middle school or something, like in middle school art class. My teacher was super eccentric and cool, but she would just like play them. And so I don't know how much art I got done, but I remember listening to the audiobooks. And so that really kicked it off.
How did COVID kind of play with changing things for you? Like you said, you had to present virtually as well. How else did it impact you?
It's interesting because I was working from home before COVID for like 2 years. So I'm pretty sure if I was single and didn't really have anything special to do, it wouldn't have impacted me very much. Like getting groceries delivered is something that I've done anyway, and just like depending on the month or time, I could just like be a homebody anyway. But after quite a few months of that, right, it's like, okay, not having the option to go out on the weekend and go somewhere that you would normally go, that's the big thing.
Yeah, I know. Even for me, actually, it's one of those things that actually I'm hearing a lot of people say this. They miss that aspect of, going to the water cooler and actually, interacting with people. I think that's been the big one for a lot of people out there too. So I know you came with a non-IT background, right?
Right.
How did that kind of work out for you? Because I have seen actually a lot of people that are in like HR, finance, even marketing going into cybersecurity now. How was that shift for you, not having an IT background?
It obviously worked out pretty well, but in the beginning, I wasn't so sure that it would work out as well as it did, I guess. Like I didn't have a problem like thinking, oh, I can't do this, or, oh, this is going to be really hard for me. It was just kind of like, I always felt within the first year, I felt a lot like there was more that I needed to know. Like I had a lot of friends that worked in IT previously, like a help desk or whatever. And I was like, I felt like I missed out on that part, I guess, because they, would talk about, well, I have experience in this and this, even though it's not necessarily security. I was like, that has to really make a difference in the way that you think about some security. I don't know, either theory or just actual problems, right? So I felt like I needed to kind of take a step backwards, and I went to a cybersecurity boot camp. And so kind of like at the end of finishing that and like looking for a job, I was like, do I kind of need to like step backwards and like work in IT, just so I have a bigger overall picture, because the way my brain works is like I kind of want to see the big picture of a lot of things. Sometimes even if it's not necessary, I think it just helps me like make sense of stuff. But eventually I was like, okay, you know what? I don't need to know that. Like there's a team for that, or like I can figure it out or ask someone on my team who has experience with it. The buddy system is huge, like especially when you're learning. So it's like, okay, you will never know everything, of course. You don't have to know everything related to computers just to get into security, right? To have that step up. It's more about, can you learn? Can you explain it to people? And can you explain it in a way that they can understand it if they don't know any tech jargon at all, right?
What actually got you into the cybersecurity field?
Yeah, I think it was about a year's worth of, I want to work with computers and I don't know how I want to do that. I had friends in tech who were developers, and they were like, I love coding and this is what I do all day. And they're like, but you might not like that. And, I would kind of read up on topics that they'd give me to Google and figure out. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know how you decide, right? Because I didn't love the thought of just like sitting behind the computer all day necessarily coding. And so I kind of just kept working my regular job, thinking about it, and knew eventually I'll figure it out somehow. Because I always, was just like handy with computers and technology, and that was like the extent of it. Besides like in art, leaning more towards, because I went to school for fine arts the first time. So I tended to lean towards like graphic design, photography, and then that of course led to digital photography. And so all of those of course include technology, but I just wasn't really sure, right? So I was actually on a plane somewhere, and the airplane magazine, right? And so everyone like scans through those. So I'm just like flipping through the airplane magazine, and there's a article about cybersecurity, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And so I kept reading it. I was like, this is weird. And so it's, I wish I could find it and I wish I had it, because it's like amazing and I really want to like go back and read it. But it said like, okay, there's already this many job openings. There's going to be this many in the next few years. The type of people that are a good fit for cybersecurity are people who like to figure things out, obviously take things apart, put them back together, right? People that are good at puzzles, people that are inquisitive, and all these things. And I was like, that describes me. Okay, I'll keep reading. And like the more I read, the more I was like, oh, I think I found the thing that I could do, right? And so I was like pumped up about just having read that and thinking, okay, I can start an actual search and make a plan.
So with respect to finding a job in cybersecurity, what are some challenges you face?
That's like a multi-part question, right, Harry? Like, like first of all, I acknowledge that like I'm a white girl from like a middle class family. I haven't really had trouble finding jobs ever, but I think it's also because I take a lot of chances. Like I've moved to different cities multiple times in my life and like quit the job I was at and just like went along like I'll find something else, it'll be fine. And I guess that's a great attitude to have, because I never really stressed out too much about it. But I've always been lucky enough to like, I guess talk my way into a job, even if I didn't like wasn't super qualified. So having that confidence is great. Also, yes, there are so many available jobs, but like the people that make job listings aren't necessarily doing anyone any favors for the most part. As I'm sure you know, there's plenty of job listings that are like ridiculous, and you're like, no one has this, right? It's like they're looking for somebody that doesn't exist.
So with that, as we're getting close to the end of our podcast, I wanted to throw out a nice, fun, rapid fire round of questions. So
All right.
just random questions that I'll be throwing out to you. Whatever comes to your mind, just throw it out there. Ready for this?
No, let's do it.
All right, here we go. Okay. Talking or texting?
Oh no. What context? Is it to my friends or to people at work?
Let's say anyone.
Text.
Text, okay. Speak every language in the world or have the ability to talk to animals?
Animals.
Fill in the blank. Seattle has tons of
I don't want to offend anybody. Coffee.
super strength or super speed.
Ooh, speed.
If Bill Gates showed up at your front door right now, what would you ask him?
What did I do?
How many hours of sleep do you get?
Oh no. I have no idea. I'm a night owl, and it's really weird because there was a long time for recently where I would wake up in the middle of the night every night and not be able to go back to sleep. But also the sun comes up at 4:30 here, and I don't know what kind of freak situation that is, but it's terrible. And so if I wake up like after that, it's over, and I'm just like, oh no. So it really varies. I could get anywhere from like 9 to 10 hours to 5.
What's the last show you binge watched?
Twin Peaks.
If you could live in another country, where would you want to live?
Hmm. I think it depends on like right now or in the future. I would definitely want to like retire in Italy or somewhere close to that. But I really want to like go to Japan. And if I was like right now, I would live there. But I don't know if I would want to like live there forever because there's just so much else I want to see.
Yeah, Japan's awesome. I want to visit too. Star Wars or Star Trek?
You know, there's these people that live in my neighborhood and they put a poll up on a thing in their yard every week, and they make people answer questions like that. They don't make them. They don't make you. It's voluntary. And it was Star Wars, and I thought it was going to be Star Trek, and it was Star Wars versus Lord of the Rings. And you know what people picked? Lord of the Rings. And I was like, what? But now that you added the Star Trek part, Star Trek.
Nice. Have you ever worn socks with sandals?
Yeah, but I didn't take myself seriously when I did it.
Here's a good one. Make a noise that sounds like you're snoring.
This is it.
Oh, that's it.
I don't snore.
That's good.
That's the thing. I'm like, I could, but
All
I'm
right.
not.
Last question for you. At what age do you want to retire?
Now would be great. No. I don't think I'll ever retire, to be honest. My dad was always a very hard worker. He's still working at 72. He just recently semi-retired, so now he works 40 hours a week.
Wow.
So I'll probably work for a really long time, but doing something that I really enjoy, and it won't feel like I need to retire, right? And I think that's one of the cool things with remote work is you have a lot of flexibility most of the time. And so it's like if you get all of your work done at one point of the day, maybe you don't work the rest of the day, or maybe you take that day off and work a weekend day. I mean, it's just the flexibility is there if your managers are and organizations are willing to give it to you. And so there's just a lot of opportunity to like not have to work the traditional 9 to 5 in an office. And I think that changes the way people look about retirement, me being one of them.
That's no, it sounds like a nice plan either now or in the future. So
right, like I could
that'll be cool.
I could totally do my job from Japan.
Yeah.
And nobody would really care. So
yeah, I'm the same way. It'd be nice
Yeah.
to still do things as we get older. Awesome. Well, I just wanted to give you a shout out, Angela, for joining us on our very first podcast. Thanks so much for being here. It was a pleasure to have you here, learn more about you, and thanks for sharing all your experiences, which I think will help out a lot of listeners here.
Thanks, Harry. Yeah, if anybody has any questions or follow up, stuff they want to talk about, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter, Megatron AL. So you'll find me there. I'm usually available, and I'm happy to talk to anyone who's really trying to break into cybersecurity and just clear up some of those things because I know it's tough.
Yeah, everyone definitely check out Angela's Twitter. And we also will have this podcast up pretty soon. It'll be on StealthBay.com/podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. Until next time, see you then.